listen up. Y'all, it's the queen of automation, Meghan Donnelly, here to give you inspiration. Founders and business owners gather round. I'ma show you how to build systems that'll astound. Streamline your processes, no need for complication.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Queen of Automation podcast. I'm your host, Meghan Donnelly. We talk about all things operations, systems, AI, automation, and why all of these things are only good when they work. I am really excited to have Charlotte Lloyd here today because she has been somebody that I have been kind of cyber stalking on LinkedIn for a while and following all of her content. But what's really cool about Charlotte is her ability to sell. And I know that sounds really fundamental and silly of me to say, but sales is an art form that I have never felt like I've truly mastered. And Charlotte's techniques and her content on LinkedIn, she's just a master at it. And I can't do an intro that's going to do you justice, Charlotte. So I would love for you to tell everybody what you're working on, where you're calling in from, and talk about the grow and scale your business, which is what you've been working on for a number of years now.
Yeah. Thank you for the kind intro. It always makes me laugh when you say you've been stalking me. It's like a funny thing, isn't it?
I know.
With LinkedIn and obviously consistently. Yeah. So a bit about my background. I spent 23 years in B2B sales, went from working with top brands, governments around the world. So did a lot of traveling, did a lot of networking in the pre-COVID era, sold to some huge companies like Danone, PepsiCo, worked with the World Bank, worked with International Monetary Fund, so doing events there. And yeah, I did something that I thought was perhaps never going to be possible and wasn't really me back in when COVID hit. So I ran a portfolio business before then, and I had a few clients, worked with a big international brand, Financial Times, which is a bit like the Wall Street Journal. The way that I worked with them and other clients was I would work commission only. Well, Financial Times was my client where I worked commission only. And that meant having to find my next client and being very good at sales because, at the end of each month,
that's hard.
If I didn't actually sell anything, I wouldn't be able to invoice. Yeah, very hard. So... they say choose your hard. I moved from the UK to Spain, so it's like that was one of the options that I had. Yeah, one of the options that I had was to do that because there was no actual official office here. So I took a big leap, and when COVID hit, I was actually working. I went back into full-time employment, into a sales role, and I was managing a territory, and I started to post on LinkedIn. This is a very long introduction, but here it serves a purpose for today. And I gained traction with my posts. So I didn't even think it was going to go anywhere because obviously with COVID, we couldn't travel. I used to travel a lot. That's how I met my clients, networking events. And suddenly LinkedIn had to be the place, email, the phone too. But, LinkedIn was just kind of really changing at that point. New creators were coming on. I didn't even see myself as a creator. I was just sharing all my knowledge about sales that would help people who were perhaps not in sales or in sales themselves. And it turned into a side hustle. So it got to that point where people started DMing me and asking me for help. And I eventually pivoted to helping solopreneurs. So small businesses, coaches and consultants who are wanting to master sales but have had no sales experience. So they're starting to run their business. They might focus on things like marketing when, everyone wants to avoid sales because the word sales can scare some people as well with some of the, if you think of the Wolf of Wall Street, this kind of thing and cold calling, that's what it can conjure up in people's minds. So it purely happened, yes, because I focused on LinkedIn and prioritizing LinkedIn as my main channel. And then it actually was me making it happen. So having conversations, prioritizing the things that were going to lead to clients. And I ran it as a side hustle for just under 2 years before I then made it my main business. So now I'm the founder of Charlotte Lloyd Consulting. I run the client acquisition club. Pardon me. There's a lot of dust here. And I help coaches and consultants and high ticket clients with sales, psychology, and a little bit of AI. And I also train teams as well.
I just think what you're doing is amazing because sales is a scary thing. And I don't know why it's so scary, because I'll tell you, I was terrified, right? But what I've noticed is a lot of people like myself who spent, or like yourself, who spent a large amount of time in kind of the corporate setting, right? I spent, 12 years doing operations for corporate and being the glue that held sales and marketing and development together, right? Like that user experience side of B2B and B2C. And when I left, very similar to yourself, I had made all of these networking connections. And so when I started out on my own, I had all these really big connections who wanted to still work with me. So I got really lucky, right? And I will say this is one part of my career that was pure luck, because all of those connections that I made while working in corporate still wanted to work with me when I decided to start my own gig, right? So I hit the ground running. Well, then after those dried up, in the sense that they didn't have any more project work for me, I had to figure out how to sell. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I wish I had known you then, because, fast forward 5 years later and I'm like, I feel like I'm fumbling through it. What is so important about, they say, if you're a coach, get yourself a coach, that whole like cliche saying, it is so true. And I feel like every entrepreneur, solopreneur, small business owner or founder needs to have someone in their inner circle network that is a sales guru, like a sales master person that they can talk to. Even if it's someone like a coach or a community, like you said, even if you're a small business owner and you join a community just to get the psychology behind it, it's 100% worth it. It's 100% worth it, because getting out of your comfort zone and really like putting yourself out there in front of and just doing it is the easy part. It's the accountability that I feel like everybody falls flat on, right? You could give 100 people the assignment. Actually, I'll ask you that question. Think about your community, right? Like you give them an assignment, like our friend Nat. Nat gives everyone in the community assignments like, I want you to do this many DMs today, right? Like you have to actually just go and talk to people. What is the percentage what do you feel like the percentage of those people, let's say out of 100 people, what percentage do you think actually do it and then come back and whine that it didn't work because they didn't actually do it?
What percentage of 100 people? No, it's interesting what you said first about marketing, because I actually sold marketing to different businesses. And I could see that there was sales and marketing so intertwined. And, what they didn't have was good social media marketing as well. And this is the thing. It's like marketing is, people think, oh, I've done it now a few times, I need to give up or do something different because it's not working. So, but the fascination is, sales and marketing are, they're treated like a Jekyll and Hyde, and they should always be kind of seen as two entities working together. But exactly. And when I work with business owners, the first thing is that they want to do is just focus on marketing and focus on, I'll just wait for my posts to do the work. I'll wait for the content and the leads to come rather than actually start the conversations, right? And, if I would say first, before you think, I just want to outsource this, and, there's AI agents that would do the DMs. There's some really good ways of, to help you with there's things that you can do and systems that you can put in place to help you with implementation. But the most important thing is, if you can't have a genuine conversation with somebody online on LinkedIn, then if you're having to rely on that before you actually master it, are you why would that person buy from you, right? They want to buy from you. They want to feel that your connection is genuine, that you care, that you are 100%. It's not, I just want your business. And I see a lot of this now. It's, I just want your business and that's it. And there's so much automation, you can tell, and you think, do I really want to respond to this? So whenever I work with my clients, I say, okay, think of it like this. If you were approaching, you're going to do 100 DMs a day. And if you are, you're going to be automating it, right? So break it down, send 5 to 10 DMs, right? In the first 10 DMs a day, that's 50 a week. 50 quality conversations are better than 500. So yeah, with DMs, what I say is that think about breaking it down and make them simple. You want to have 5 to 10 good conversations, right? A week. That's 25 to 50 a week. You don't need to do crazy volume. If we're not good at something and we need to master it, then we have to do crazy volume of sending outreach. And I feel like, that approach is throw some mud at the wall and it might stick, but most of it won't. So rather than do that, spend time, 90 minutes a day, if you're starting out, literally focused on who are the people that I can help? Where's my next client coming from? Okay, so there's 2 questions that you can ask. Who can I help? Where's my next client coming from? I want to have a good conversation. If I met them in person, I wouldn't be hitting them up straight away with my offer as the very first thing that I say. That would be weird, wouldn't it? It's like, hey, by the way, like those people like the mall kiosk.
Yeah, the pitch slap.
You're not in a mall kiosk, right? Yeah, I can't hear you actually. Yeah. Oh, I can now. I can hear you now. So the thing here is you want to be able to have a conversation as if you meet that person in person. Because again, and it depends on what your offer is, right? It also depends on what your offer is. But if you're selling a high ticket service, like most people are on LinkedIn, you're going to win the conversation and win the sale by actually what I call giving a shit, right? So being genuine and giving a shit to the person that you're reaching out to. So that's the thing. And if we can have 25 to 50 of those conversations a week, and we're booking, let's say 5 to 7 calls a week with the right type of buyer, and we've qualified them correctly, we don't need to be doing crazy amounts of volume. Yeah, you've got to put in the work, right? You've got systems and automation, but for the actual selling and the actual psychology and nuance, you are not replaceable. So that's the way that I approach the DM. That's the first thing that I say when people are approaching the DMs and they're approaching sales. Reframe how you see it, because your service is there to help people. Think about the clients that you've served and who've brought you the most energy, and then approach the conversation first off that way. And think, I don't need to be having crazy amounts of conversations to find 5 to 7 meetings a week with the right people.
So I always tell people the reason I love what you just said, and people always just assume that they need a bazillion impressions, right? They're so consumed with these vanity metrics of impressions. Guys and ladies and people, impressions mean shit if they're not converting into conversations and then converting into sales. They mean shit. It doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you something right now. I don't have nearly as many followers as Charlotte on LinkedIn, but I'll tell you what I am really good at, and it's this. It's having conversations with people. I have mastered putting myself into uncomfortable situations to start conversations. I'm trying to get myself in the room with people who are so far more experienced than I am, because that's the room I want to be in. Those are the people that I want to talk to and I want to learn from. But the other part of it is, if I had 100,000 followers and 50% of them, so 50,000 people, converted and all wanted to hire me, I would sink my business right now. And that's what people aren't getting. That's great. You've got 100,000 followers. Let's say you did that. Kudos to you. But let's say every single one of them wanted to buy from you right now. Now what do you do? So people don't think about that.
Yeah.
Like they're not thinking about the massive volume.
People don't think about that. You don't need the followers. Yeah, you don't need intense volume. And it really is about focusing on the fewer to get the impact and the result that you need. What do you need? You need 1 high ticket offer a week. Okay, what's that? Is it 5K? Is it 3, 5, 10K, 20K? If you're closing one, you should be closing 1 client a week, right? So that the 1 in 3 is a good close rate. 1 in 5 is still not a bad close rate, but ultimately, if we can close 1 of those clients a week, then we're onto a good thing. So the philosophy, the approach around sales, when we frame it and look at it that way, it's not as daunting task as people think that it is. Right. So he said something very, very key there, is that you do not need lots of followers. Yeah. You need less of the right followers to actually get what you need. And if you do have lots of followers, it feels great for your ego. There's the vanity and all that validation element. But still, what's the nature of your service? Are you selling a low ticket offer? Even with a lot of followers, a low ticket offer is still a hard sell because you've got to put a lot of marketing behind it. You're not going to be getting in the DMs selling your $100 offer if that's to join your community. Yeah. So think about
it's amazing to me how because it seems so simple when you sit here and have a conversation with somebody like yourself, right? Like people are probably listening to this or going to listen to this and think, oh yeah, sure, it's easy for you two to say it because you're successful and you're doing it. No, you just have to do it. You have to rip off the Band-Aid and just get started. It's going to feel super weird. It's going to feel super uncomfortable, but it will eventually start to feel better, and it will start to feel, it's always going to feel a little awkward because you're just talking to a stranger randomly, but it will eventually start to feel normal. I mean, what's normal? I don't know what that word is, but it will eventually start to feel okay and less awkward. It's always going to have some awkwardness, right? I mean, I feel like it's always going to be a little awkward because you're just randomly talking to a stranger. But if you do it, if you can do what she says, start with 5. Like, make your goal 5 a week. Like, if you're truly that uncomfortable. And then increase it to 10 a week. And then increase it and then get to the point where she said 20 to 25 a week. You're having those conversations. She's not telling you, go out and do this right now, today, tomorrow. I mean, that would be better for you, but start where you're comfortable and grow into that. It's less about the volume, like she said. It's less about the volume and more about the fact that you're actually just doing it. You're putting in the work and you're talking to people. Those conversations are huge. Work,
you are exactly. And that's what, people want to feel, that you get them and that you're there to help them. And especially if you are selling coaching services. With B2B, has a little bit of a different approach, but still it's that point of contact where, if I'm getting hit up with, as soon as someone connects to me, hey, Charlotte, how's your lead gen performing? How's your video performing? I know straight away that there's going to be a sales pitch. Like, I can feel it coming. So, I'm not going to walk up to somebody in a conference and be like, hey, I just want to know, but how's your lead gen going? First going to start a conversation before we get onto any topics like that. So, exactly. There's nothing wrong with that question, but the context in which it's asked is really important. So I would say to people, context is everything. When are you asking the questions? And my kind of 5-part framework is called SPICE, and it's based on this concept of, we're having a conversation in the DMs, it's relationship building and it's problem solving. So ultimately, that person has to sell back to us. When we ask the right questions, they're selling back to us why they need to work with us. And it's a 5-part framework that it builds trust. We want high trust when we're selling high ticket deals. We don't want to feel that we're talking to a bot or that we're being sold to. So that's one of the frameworks that I teach with my clients. Obviously, a lot of people say, well, my client isn't active on LinkedIn. They might be a C-level. They might be, somebody that's just logging on to LinkedIn at all. Yes, in that instance, we can try direct approaches, but not where we're pitch slapping. So again, there's a different way that I approach that.
It's crazy how many people pitch slap these days. Everyone. I mean, obviously not everyone, because otherwise people wouldn't be joining your program and people wouldn't be listening to people like Nat Berman. But everything in my inbox is just, like wanting to say. So I have stopped even connecting with a lot of creators and how to grow on LinkedIn people. I don't connect with them anymore. Sorry if you guys are listening to this, but I don't connect with you anymore because I don't need growth advice. Like, that's if I need somebody to learn from, I've got people like Charlotte, Nat, and Darren, and a bunch of people in my what I consider my little inner circle of, I already know who I would reach out to specifically for different types of advice, right? Like I just have that. And I get it. We all have to start somewhere. They probably don't have that yet. But one of the things that I suggest everyone does is start finding their inner circle on LinkedIn, right? You start that networking, you start having those conversations, you build real, genuine relationships. For example, Charlotte and I were talking about the brand build relationship that I have with them and how I got started. You want to know how I got started? And this is the best way to do this if you can afford to do it. Obviously, I don't want anybody to like lose their home over this, but I worked for them for free. I didn't ask for anything in exchange. I just wanted to be in the room with them. I wanted to have those conversations. I wanted to talk to the people they were talking to. It's the same thing. I'm not going to lie. Charlotte and I are going to have a conversation. I'm going to figure out how I can help her community members. That's what you do. If you can build those networking relationships, if you can talk to the people of the rooms that you want to get into, your sales is going to be, it's going to be a lot easier because you're talking to people like Charlotte who have already built up this community of people. And then you're going to have a conversation with Charlotte, whatever you're doing, whatever you're selling, whatever. And you're going to say, hey, I have this really cool thing that I think your customers would benefit from. So then it's not a proposition for Charlotte of, hey, here, buy my shit. It's, I want to offer your customers value. And it's a totally different ballgame when you do that. When you can come into a networking group of people and you can offer your services to those people, to their customers, and provide their customers value, now Charlotte looks like a rock star. Because not only is she giving the best sales advice and the best frameworks and teaching people how to sell and all the psychology, now she's coming in with, well, check out this offer from Nat, and check out this offer from Meghan, and check out this offer from, these are all for you, and you get them at a discount just because of, I'm so awesome, right? Charlotte's so awesome. That's what she gets to say to her community now. So that's another way of breaking through to the traditional sales model, right? You can do the DMs, and you should be doing that anyway. But if you can get yourself in the room with those people that are already doing that and doing that really well, it's almost like a cheat code, right? With a video game. You're going to jump up a little bit faster because they've already built a network. She's already got, 67,000 followers on LinkedIn and people that she's reaching and talking to every day. Why would I not want to have a conversation with her?
Yeah, and the point that you make here as well is really important, Meghan. It's, identifying who do you want to work with. Pick it. You can, hand picking those people with, obviously, if they're creating content, that makes that a lot easier. But not being afraid to start those conversations and not being afraid to undercharge, I would say, your expertise, because that's where I see a lot of people with such great talent. They come on LinkedIn and they think of, oh, I want to work with this business or this person, and then they kind of undermine their authority. So they undermine their expertise, let's say. And sometimes I feel that, what we want to be doing in the DMs is asking the right questions and then inviting them to have a call with us. But they have to first admit, do they have a problem that we can solve? Is this a problem that they really want to solve? Right? Can they convince us that it's something that they need to solve? So part of what I teach is the conversation and the nuance around that, right? Because that's really important. What we don't want to be doing is getting on
Can you give us an example? Would you mind? Is it okay? Would you give us an example of and you could actually even do me if you want. So let's do Digital Magic CRM. I'm a great example. I don't mind when people kind of, rip us apart and give us things on these shows. So Digital Magic CRM, right? Everyone who's been following along for 5 minutes knows that we have a CRM product. Software as a service. It's a SaaS. It's an all-in-one system. But the real amazing part of this system is that it truly is an all-in-one, right? It's got the websites and the funnels, and it's got a CRM and a sales pipeline platform, and quizzes and QR codes and marketing funnels and automation and all the stuff, right? Like all the things. And it's designed to give small business owners, 15 to 20 hours back every week, right? It's designed to run the entire back-end operations of your business inside one platform and truly give founders and business owners time back, time freedom, which is what we all want, without sacrificing the money. So I would say to people, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. That's why I like to put myself in front of people like Charlotte, because she's going to kill sales way better than I ever will. But now, so take Digital Magic CRM, knowing that it's just a SaaS platform, knowing that I'm going after people in the 500, I'm giving you guys my target audience, so don't listen. We'll say they're established founders and business owners who have an established product and service to sell. And they've kind of hit that, that glass ceiling. And they're still stuck down in the weeds doing everything themselves. 24 hours a day they're working, and they're on that road of burning out because they can't leave for 2 weeks because their business would crumble without them, right? So what should I say in the DMs? Give me a good question.
Yeah. So the thing here is,
I start with, hang on. First, what I do, just so you're aware what I start with, and then we can go from there. I would say to someone like yourself, in fact, I think I did when Charlotte and I connected on LinkedIn, I always reach out and just introduce myself, say hi, and tell people when I'm posting. And then I say, if there's ever anything you need from me, you know where to find me. Have a great week. And I sign off. I don't ask them for anything. I just say, thanks for connecting. I tell them the time that I post every day or, 5 days a week. And then I say, nice to meet you. And I walk away. What should I do now?
Okay. So you take that a slightly different approach here, but another approach that you could take. So the SPICE framework, identify a struggle or a compliment. So maybe they've followed you first or connected, or they've engaged with your content, or they've put a comment on your post. I would be referring to that first. So, hey, thanks for the follow, thanks for the profile. What, out of interest, what made you specifically want to connect with me? Or you mentioned, what did they mention on the post? Talk about that and what stood out to them, right? So we want to go deeper with that first. Of course, if our content is doing the heavy lifting, they might then refer to a specific problem or a symptom of a problem. If you're talking, for example, about, hey, not having the right CRM and not being able to track your clients and how much time are you spending sort of in the business rather than on the business is leading to burnout. So if your content is speaking to them and their specific problems, they might mention that already, right? So it could be something from your post that stood out. Maybe it's that so you were talking specifically about burnout, about execs and business owners spending far too much time in the business than on the business. So tell me more about that. The significance here of what, why questions, right? And if we haven't identified, so if they've complimented you on your content, great. What stood out to you? Obvious question. Let's get deeper. If they've mentioned a specific struggle already, or we've extracted the struggle, so we want to be able to approach them and say, something specific first, perhaps about their profile. What's interesting about their profile? Have they been in business long? Is it something that, that they might be in, that they're a wine lover, for example? But mentioning that and building a bit of rapport first is really important. So say, hey, I noticed that you're 3 years into your business. Like, it's a great feeling when in a business, but there's, with each new year comes new challenges. Hey, you're also based in where are they based in the US? Perhaps you've been to that place. So building rapport that way is okay. A lot of people want to skip this. And I think this is where, it's like, well, do you want the robots to win or do you want to still be human? So then you can shift to asking, if they don't actually mention a struggle or a compliment around your content, you shift to a question around what it is that they are identify a specific challenge that they might have that's related to your value proposition. So you can ask a question, mention, hey, at this stage in your business, typically what I see with business owners or newer entrepreneurs is that they're facing what? What's the challenge that they're facing? They want to grow their business to perhaps it's a certain revenue amount in the next 2 years, but they want to spend more time out of the business than they do in the business. They realize that they're perhaps losing clients because they're not able to track everything properly in the CRM. So obviously, these are things that you can hone, but I'm just giving you a couple of examples. Out of interest, is anything, what are you experiencing in your world? Which of these is a priority for you? Right. So we want to make it easy for them to respond. Is it A or is it B? Going deeper. Right. Once they've answered that question, why is this an issue specifically? Right. Why is this actually happening? Let's understand more first before we go deeper. So you're being like, you're a doctor, you've got to diagnose before you can actually prescribe. Right. So the S, start the conversation by identifying a struggle or a compliment. P is pain exploration. We want to go deeper into the pain. If they're a senior exec and they're we might want to talk about priorities instead of pain. So there's another way we can shift the conversation to what are the priorities that they're focused on. Then we want to identify, so the what and why questions are significant here. What are the blockers that are stopping them from getting to where they need to be, right? So I identify any blockers. If they tried something, or we found out if they tried something already, why is it a problem? What's stopping them from getting to where they need to be? So if you think about it, pain, there's a blocker, and we need to get over the bridge to get to the ideal state. So the next part of the conversation, confirm the ideal state, the C in spice. What does success look like if you don't have this problem? Where do you want to get to in the business, right? So broadly speaking, it's around that. When they've given us a little more of an idea of where they want to get to, if we know that, okay, they know that they have a problem, they know that it needs fixing, they know that they need to they want to get to a certain level, there's a goal there. Okay, then we can engage E for a confident close for the meeting. And that would be, look, and there's several ways of saying this, but I believe we can help you with this. Why don't we hop on a call and I can share some more insights, and we can also explore what it would look like if we worked together, right? Simple. What would it look like if we worked together? So they know that this is going to be a call to discuss business, right? So very simple framework here. Haven't sent a Calendly link or anything like that. We've actually bothered to find out, okay, do they have a problem with their CRM, or what's the block? What's happening in the business that could be linked to that? And then we're making sure that, they've confirmed that this is an issue. We haven't just invited them to a call like, hey, most business owners at this stage in their business, they're facing A or B or Y or C struggle. Happy to jump on a call and explore, how this might look for you. If we're sending that kind of DM first, then we're pitch slapping essentially. So how do you feel about that framework, Meghan?
I think that it's awesome. And one of the things that stood out for me as you were going through the entire SPICE framework, I want to throw this out there because this is something that I see so often, and I'm sure you do as well. Figuring out what success looks like. Oh my God, people, please focus on that. So many of you are out there working on tasks that are not needed or a waste of time. And so this doesn't just apply to the people that you're talking to. It also applies to yourself. Okay, if you are working on a task that has no success metric, you don't know what success looks like. Okay, for heaven's sake, Charlotte just gave you what success looks like. Success looks like for sales DMs, you need to send 20 to 25 conversations a week. There's your success metric. If you're doing this and you're just randomly doing this and you don't have, okay, success is going to be that I do 5 a week, 10 a week, 20, you're not, it's not going to work. But the same goes for the people that you're talking to. If they can't tell you what success looks like, there's a major problem right there in the business, right? And that is something that probably all of us could help with. No matter what service you're selling, what software you're selling, what product, it doesn't matter. If someone that you're talking to doesn't have a success metric for the thing that you're talking about or the business that they're talking about, there's your thing to fix. give them what success looks like. And so that stood out to me because I feel like that is, I don't even feel, I know that is a huge piece that's missing in a lot of these conversations that these people are having, that entrepreneurs are having in the DMs. They're completely missing what success looks like to the person they're talking to. And
yes.
if you don't know,
you don't have that,
if you don't know,
it's you don't have any qualified pain either. It's you're going to be getting on. Are you getting on a call that's worth their time, but also your time, right? So there's two things here.
Yep.
If we know that if we can get them to sell back, the psychology of spice is selling back to us, then we're on to a much better conversation, right? And we just don't want people randomly booking on our Calendly link. It's yes, people will come inbound from content. If content has to do the work, obviously they're part of the heavy lifting, but especially now with impressions down and more competition on LinkedIn and this like kind of move towards like paid ads, it's always going to serve you well to be able to control these kind of conversations. Like you've got the control of the conversation, right? You don't have control if they actually buy, but you are leading up to a much better outcome for them on the call and for you too. And it's a skill that most people feel that they can neglect, or they don't do it because they're scared that salesy, or I'm going to come across, I'm just not going to do it in the right way, and it's too much effort and I'm not going to get any kind of results. So you either have a lead problem or a conversion problem, right? And a lot of it is you have leads that are right in front of you that are literally, you can start a conversation. If you look through a tool called Condo, trycondo.com is the website. When you look through your connections, existing connections there's probably a good few who you've never spoken to, but that you could actually help. So being able to reach out, leverage referrals, leverage reactivating conversations, leverage people you haven't spoken to. You've already got 3 categories there of leads, which, okay, they're not coming inbound, but they can still they still might need your help. And so many people who engage with your post and who follow you, send you a blank connection request, are probably thinking, yeah, I've been seeing Meghan's posts, but I haven't thought to send her anything saying that I need help. So you actually going and asking and initiating that conversation, you can control your pipeline or your pipeline building, right? And the thing is, your pipeline, if there's no pipeline, there's no deals, right? So we always want to be thinking, what's going to happen in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks? Have we built enough pipeline? Do we have enough of the right calls? The way that we can influence that is by putting in the work, doing this. So these are what I call the fundamentals.
You are so amazing because I sit here and I listen to you talk and I'm like, oh yeah, I know I need to be doing all of that, but I'm not doing it. and I am fully the bottleneck when it comes to some of those conversations. But luckily I do have a small team, so they're doing a lot of that. But it's so funny when I listen to you, I'm like, yeah, yes, 100%, I agree with all of it. And then I'm like, yeah, I didn't do any of that today. So accepting and knowing when you're the bottleneck is also something that you need to realize, right? And if you're not the person to do all the wonderful things that Charlotte just talked about, then you very need to quickly realize that if that's never going to be you, if you're never going to be that, then you're going to have to hire it. You're going to have to. You either have to hire somebody or you have to automate it. And like we said throughout this whole episode, you can automate some of this, but you should not automate the whole process. It's just not there yet. It's not a great experience for the people that you're wanting to talk to. So this has been amazing. I want you to tell everyone where they can find you, what's the best way to contact you. And because I want everyone to come and talk to Charlotte when they have sales questions on LinkedIn and otherwise.
So you can find me on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/Charlotte Lloyd Sales. You can find me on Instagram. So Instagram is Charlotte Lloyd Sales as well. And yeah, they're the 2 main places. So feel free to connect, say you listened to the show. What was the thing that stood out for you the most? And thanks for having me, Meghan. It's been a great pleasure to be here.
This has been so good. I'm so glad that we were able to connect. And for all of those of you listening out there, we are going to put all of her contact information in the show notes with links so that you can click right over and find her. And remember, everybody, sales, marketing, automation, technology, AI, all of these things make up operations. And operations are only good when they work. So you know where to find us if you have questions. And we will see you all next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.